Roses are red, violets are blue. What the heck is Billie Piper doing in Doctor Who?
Nice. See, this is what happens when you're not just awake at 7 a.m. When we do it at night for you got a chance to cook some lovely poetry, good sir.
Exactly, my brain is working.
Well, if your brain's engaged, maybe we should see what everyone else's brains are like. Maybe pick some callers' brains and see what they think about Billie Piper. If she was ever to come back to Doctor Who. I don't know why we'd be talking about that right now. It's definitely not a hot topic, right?
It is the hottest topic right now. It's 2025, and this is the headline. What are we doing?
Oh, hello. Roll the intro.
Hello and welcome back to Who's There, a Doctor Who podcast. My name is Crispy, his name is Troy, and we're the hotline that accepts your calls throughout time and space. And today we're going back to year our Lord 2005, where Rose Tyler is companion. Oh, wait a second. No, it's 20 years later, and Billie Piper is still in Doctor Who, apparently. Troy, how are you going, man?
I'm doing well, man. This is going to be an interesting episode, a very, very interesting one.
Very interesting episode.
If you asked me to talk about how I expected season 2 would end a couple of weeks ago, it wouldn't be Billie Piper showing up. Just
You know what? You asked Russell T Davies a couple of weeks ago
how
Doctor Who's going to end, and he's not saying that either.
Mate. Oh, look, okay, so this is going to be an intriguing one. We're back to our regular format, season 2 reviews. They've come to an end, we don't know when the next Doctor Who's going to be. Hopefully it's not as far off as some people are making it sound like it's going to be. I'm personally holding out hope for a late 2026. I forgot what year we were in then for a second. Like, my personal hope is we'll get
very possible
an 18-month gap like Jodie, and then Russell can still hold to yearly Doctor Who, even if it's pushing it slightly. But in all that time, we've still got War Between the Land and the Sea, so we've got a trailer to talk about for that in the next few weeks. But, folks, we've planned the next 8 episodes of this podcast. We are ready. We've got so many good ideas, okay? And one of them, yes, is the release of the music video for David Tennant Is My Dad that Crispy's been sat on for a long time. And we've got a special episode planned for the David Tennant cake saga that, I hadn't had a chance to explain from MCM Comic Con. It's good, but it's not as urgent as talking about the Billie Piper of it all. So today, that's where we're focusing our attention, because we talked about it a bit on the live episode, but I don't feel like I said too much about it, and especially on Twitter, because I've been very positive about the episode. That's one thing I've avoided, because I don't really want to add to the negativity, and my thoughts right now aren't the most positive. But we did appear on Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast, and I feel like I said a little bit more on there. I feel like it was Unchained.
Gosh, yeah, and go and check that episode out. I was listening back to it. I'm very, very proud of us. We're good guests.
We're
very good guests.
You and me are pretty good.
We're fantastic.
We should do this more often.
Yeah, we should.
Do you want to do another podcast, talk about other stuff?
No, we can't. I don't talk about anything else apart from Doctor Who.
Bring back the Who's There special episodes. Rest in peace.
Oh my gosh. Oh, one day, if there's something special enough. But yeah, crikey Moses. It's been a week. It's been a week. And
does it feel like longer for you, or is it just me?
It feels like a lifetime, Troy. I did 3 podcasts last week. I did and all. It's crazy. Of everyone, I mean, look. If Russell wanted a viral moment, he got it. He absolutely got it. Yeah. Because my goodness, no one ever talks about Doctor Who, to me at work, and that day. All my co-workers were like, oh, so what do you think? And a lot of them were excited. And I was like, wow, how does this reach you? No one's talked about anything else. They know Ncuti Gat was the Doctor. And some of them were like, oh, that felt a bit quick. I'm like, yeah, it did feel a bit quick. But yeah, they got their viral moment. I've had 3 shorts in the last 3 days get over 100,000 views talking about Billie Piper as the Doctor. Yep.
Internet famous mental. Crispy Pro.
Internet famous Crispy Pro, generating content for everyone. So, yeah, I think we should talk about the Billie Piper of it all. How you feeling, Troy? How you feeling about everything?
Oh, man. So, yeah, as you all know, I'm always the very positive person. I'm always the optimist. I'm always trying to see the good in things. The problem is right now, we don't know what's going on with Billie Piper being in Doctor Who. I mean, sure, she could be the 16th Doctor, but as we talked about in the live episode last week, and as every other Doctor Who YouTuber under the sun has pointed out since last weekend, it did not say introducing Billie Piper as the Doctor. So there is an air of mystery to this, an air of what is going on? What is the reason for Billie Piper coming back? Aside from the more obvious reason of Shooty probably wasn't supposed to leave when he did and they needed something in there. Like, I honestly, like, there's a lot of hate being flown around, especially in Russell's direction at the minute, especially that Generation content clip. We use it here for humour, but, like, I feel like they had a really difficult decision because, like, without talking about the leaks, because we are going to have an episode specifically on leaks, and maybe in that we might talk about them a bit more.
I'm excited to talk about that.
I don't know how much I like to talk about leaks in main episodes, especially even if it's stuff that's already happened, because the stuff has come out about Billie Piper coming into the show, and I don't, or coming in again. I don't know if we want to talk about it here. I don't know how you feel about that.
Oh, I don't. Wait, I'm not quite sure.
A big thing came out from the big Doctor Who leaker who'd been leaking everything else about the show about this particular casting of Billie Piper.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Think? I'm intrigued. You want to know? Yeah. So should we? Okay, skip to a couple minutes if you don't want to hear this.
Skip ahead a couple minutes if you don't want to hear this. But well, we can talk about it more specifically in the leak episode. But the general gist is supposedly, according to the leaker, Russell basically just called in Billie as a favour about a month ago because they wanted to have something that would help push Disney to renew the show. They didn't want to leave it on an open-ended thing. They thought if we had a cliffhanger people talked about enough, Disney would be like, let's renew it. I seem to remember that was pretty much what he said. So there isn't really a plan yet for what they're going to do with her. It was more, let's regenerate into her and figure it out from there. I think that was what it said, 99% sure, because I remember reading it and being like, ugh. I'm going to see if I can find it.
Yeah, right. Okay, I mean, look, like, it doesn't feel like a leak. If it's from that guy that we'll talk about in the leaked episode, then perhaps I'm more inclined to believe it. But that seems like a pretty educated guess. Like, anyone could make that assumption. I don't think it was the plan from the get-go that Billie Piper was always going to be a part of the show again. So,
like, it's kind of how I was feeling anyway. I think sometimes, like, I've said this already, but here we go. I think I found it. Yeah, here we go. So, just a little bit of information. So, casting Billie was a very last-minute decision around the time Robot Revolution was airing. They were still planning to go with the cliffhanger Regeneration. I don't think the casting of 16 indicates or confirms the renewal for Season 3 with 16 in it. It seems more like stunt casting to round off RTD2 and kind of wrap up the New Who era by bringing it full circle. Billie wasn't on set. She filmed it in front of a green screen in London a month or so ago, and they pasted her face into Shooty's body. But they think it was a move to increase audience interest and hopefully make the show more appealing to Disney. Because apparently the BBC is a bit concerned currently about how they're going to continue the show themselves. Lots of scrambling going on. There could be more for it. There's more to it than that, but I don't really want to read much more than that because I just don't know if I want to contribute to that right now. Like, there's a lot of negativity and talk about leaks, and I think people are. One thing I've said, especially on Who Knew, is that the way that they're being kind of weaponized is not necessarily the right word, but I made an argument that I think Doctor Who fans, some of them, not all of them, and certainly not the lovely people listening to this podcast, but I think there are a certain subsect of Doctor Who fans that are a bit too entitled when it comes to behind-the-scenes information. And it's almost like because there's so much of it now, they feel like, they deserve to know every little crumb that's going on. And I think sometimes we shouldn't know everything going on behind the scenes unless they want to share it. We shouldn't know
everything. You're absolutely right.
Because I feel like the more you know about what's going on behind the scenes, not only does it impact your enjoyment of the show, especially if you know stuff leading into it, but it kind of becomes something you're a bit too, like, I don't want to say unhealthily investing, because I'm obsessed over stuff like more than the average person for a lot of things, but I feel like once you know too much about what's going on, it's not really a show to you anymore, and it's something a little different. I don't even know how I'd describe that, but it feels as though it becomes something too involved. You know too much and you make too many comments on, and then therefore people are calling for Russell to be sacked or whatever it is, and I stand by it. I think Russell's done a pretty good job at this era. It's not been perfect, but has any era ever been perfect? Like, realistically, if you look back to Russell's original era, I mean, I've just started rewatching Series 1, and, like, watching the opening episodes of that, they're fun, but they're not exactly the greatest episodes of Doctor Who I've ever seen. Like, when you're never going to get absolute perfection from every showrunner, and I honestly do think the main thing here is he's just been dealt a bit of a stiff hand because Shooty clearly, as from what we know, or at least can suspect, he was ready to film in January, couldn't do it because the Disney deal wasn't renewed, and eventually stayed on until he went, look, I can't stay any longer, I've got to go. And Russell's probably
fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've probably just had a really tough decision of, what are we going to do? How do we end off this season? Do we leave it open-ended? Do we regenerate into somebody? And, like, as bad as it is, because I made the argument on Who Knew that, we'll get into callers in a second now, but I made the argument that I don't love that on either end of Shooty you've got 20-year nostalgia, because he was heralded as the future. Like, when he was announced, it was the future is here.
Yeah.
Shooty Gatler is the Doctor. leading up to it, you had David Tennant, which, again, you can kind of forgive because it was the 60th anniversary, and people make a complaint that David Tennant shows up too much. He's been in the show twice since he left. Realistically.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that much. And both were for anniversary specials, the time when you would expect a Doctor to come back. And then you could argue the way he came back, especially in the 60th, where it was very focused on David and not the other eras, that's fine, whatever. I personally have said I like what they did with the 60th, and I'm alright with it. But now you've got the Billie Piper on the other end. You've got 2006 Doctor Who bookending either end of someone who was supposed to be the future of the show. And right now, for me, I'm just like, I don't love that. It's a show about change, and literally in the Doctor Who Unleashed special that just came out, which Crispy unfortunately doesn't seem to be able to access in Australia.
I can't see it anywhere. Like
That's
on
rough.
YouTube, they were like, "Hey, we're gonna upload every Unleashed this season." I was like, "Yes, absolutely," and it honestly did enhance my enjoyment of this season. I love seeing the behind the scenes stuff. I always loved Confidential. I always loved seeing how the cookie crumbles, and so I was really, really excited for this. 20 years of New Who retrospective thing, and I haven't been able to see it, but I know that Billie Piper was in it.
She was in it. There was a point from Arthur Darvill at one point where he said, the show's about change and moving on, and, it's about learning how to adapt with things changing, and I was just there thinking,
hell, we're stuck on a hamster wheel.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, Billie Piper did make a comment towards the end, or the end of the episode with it, where she was talking about, would she ever come back? And she was like, yeah, well, I mean, you never truly left because of the afterlife the show has, and the fact you meet people at conventions, etc. And then right at the end, she was like, so coming back, I would be happy to come back. Like, she kind of caught herself on it. So they must have filmed it very recently.
Yeah. But
yeah, I just... I don't know how to feel about it. I think my problem is that we don't know what's going on with it. When David Tennant was announced as coming back, we figured it was going to be... I think we all assumed it was just going to be 10th Doctor and Donna Noble coming back for the 60th for some extra adventures or something like that. As soon as, Jodie regenerated into David Tennant, I think pretty much immediately after, did they not say that he was the 14th and it was official?
Yeah. Instant. It was. We talked about it in our Power of the Doctor, and I remember you reading out the statement and me just hearing the words that David Tennant is the 14th Doctor, Shooty is the 15th, and I was like, are you serious?
Crazy.
Are you serious? But no, nothing's happened here.
And especially while there's been no renewal, we don't know what's happening with the future of the show yet, whether it's going to be specials, whether it's going to be seasons, whatever's going on. And until we know that, we certainly won't know any more about what's going on with Billie Piper. But the way that her and Russell both talked about in the statement, they were like, how, why, when, what, and who, you'll have to find out.
Yeah. The who is very interesting.
What are your thoughts, Crispy?
I think we talked about it last episode, but I am a big fan of Billie Piper's show, I Hate Susie. And I genuinely think in the, 15 years or however long it's been since Billie Piper played Rose, she has only improved as an actress. Like, she is absolutely phenomenal. And I genuinely think that she is a good fit for Doctor Who. I think she would crush it. I just think we're being blinded by nostalgia again, and as you were saying, like, kind of bookending Shooty's era, having David Tennant at the start, Billie Piper at the end, is crazy. Having the two leads from 2006 be on opposite ends of a Doctor's tenure that was only a year and a half long. Like, if it sends the wrong message, but I have no doubt that they could tell a good story. Whether this is the TARDIS or a Bad Wolf thing, or if it's a 16th Doctor thing and she's there for 4 seasons, great, do it, go for it. But whatever they do, I don't want them to give it like a half-assed attempt and not go and do something cool and creative with it. Yeah. I'm worried. I'm definitely worried. And there was a headline today or yesterday. Did you see that about David Tennant as well?
Yeah, there's the rumor mill is suggesting that it's going to be David and Billie for a one-off special, which... I mean,
crazy.
The excuse would be it being the 20th anniversary of New Who, and I'm like, maybe, but you'd have to get it out this year if you're going to do that. Is it going to
be this year? Yeah. If they do it next year, I'm not buying it. I'm like, What are we doing? If they get it out the gate for Christmas this year, sure.
The thing is,
it should have been in March if you're doing something like that, but I genuinely don't think they had this idea in March that they were going to do this.
The thing is, even if this Billie Piper thing was not planned, which, whether you believe the leaks or common opinion or whatever it might be, seems very unlikely that this was the plan going forward. This is very much dealing with the situation of our lead star going sooner than we would have liked. Whatever happened behind the scenes, however it's led up to Billie Piper being the Doctor or equivalent, like, it can still work. They can still write something good. Just because they haven't got a plan for it right now doesn't mean it can't be redeemed and something can't be written that is good. And when you look back, you think, oh, that's worked out perfectly. You know, I'm sure there are some things behind the scenes that we don't know about cast changes or episode changes that were changed at the last minute that we don't know and worked out absolutely fine.
There'd be a million.
Yeah. Now, granted, this is one of the bigger high-profile examples of that.
Yes.
But just because you didn't plan something going into it doesn't mean it can't come out good at the end, you know? Like, different things have different examples of that. I mean, I know people say the Star Wars sequels was a big reason why planning ahead would have been a good idea. I'd even agree on that front. But, like, listen, just because I like them doesn't mean they couldn't have been better. Like, let's be real here. Yeah. But I feel like even not knowing about it is annoying to me. I'd like to know more about what they're thinking about it. And I wouldn't have minded them being a bit more honest about it. Like, the thing is, like, behind-the-scenes info is fascinating to me. It's why I like interviewing people in my own stuff. But I like to find it directly from them. I don't like to find it in an underhanded way, if that makes sense. I'd like it more if they actually said something about, you know, we've had to have a bit of a change around, but I know they'd never say that. That's the thing. I don't think they would ever admit that Shooty went sooner than they wanted to, unless Shooty said it himself.
If he said it himself, legally they can't.
Yeah.
Legally, they can't. And
exactly.
You know what's interesting? This is maybe I shouldn't say this. Just in case there is a chance that I could be speaking to Carol Ann Ford in October.
Oh,
because she's coming to Australia. They're like, you know, whether that be in a formal interview setting or just like over an autograph. But I can guarantee you she's signed some stuff to say, don't talk about if you filmed any more for season 2. Because I get the feeling that she definitely did. And that, like, you know, we didn't find out a lot about the, you know, behind the scenes of classic Doctor Who until the 2000s. Like, there were a lot, so I feel like give it like a decade and we'll know exactly what happened behind the scenes here. I think the most realistic case, like you and I have pretty much put it together, is Shooty couldn't, and his agent, rightfully so, couldn't wait for Disney to make up their minds. And I think Doctor Who you know, they thought it was going to get renewed after season 1. That didn't happen, and in order to, you know, kind of do a Hail Mary and like the show's survival and get their viral moment and keep Doctor Who in the conversation, they were like, let's get Billie Piper in. I think that's exactly what's happened. But I pose a question to you, Troy. If you had the choice for the open-ended regeneration or Billie Piper coming back, which one would you choose?
That's the thing. I don't know about Billie Piper specifically, but if you ask me to choose between... I'm going to change your question, sorry. But if you ask me to choose between open-ended regeneration and picking somebody, even if it's at the last minute, I would go for picking somebody even at the last minute. Because the thing is, if you do an open-ended regeneration, that then becomes article number 1 for every news site for weeks on end. The Doctor Who has no security because they have not cast someone and they've regenerated open-ended. The show could end there and it would be a perfect ending. Doctor Who's over because it was too woke, because of this, because of whatever.
Oh, yeah.
They can run with whatever then because the show appears to be dead on arrival at the end of that episode. So, like, this is the thing. Russell's getting a lot of flack at the minute, especially because that generate content line keeps coming up, which, can we just say on that, if you don't know, he said in the lead up to the end of season 1 on an Unleashed episode that the whole Susan Triad thing was, you know, an idea to generate content so people would talk about the show and get things out there. Can we just say, that is the same as Doctor Who 20 years ago, just with a more modern application to it. They always wanted people to be talking about the show. They always wanted people to be discussing the twists and turns of it. But back then, that wasn't YouTube content. That was just word of mouth. That was talking to friends in the playground. That was talking to people in work. Like, the idea is not that different, and I'm seeing it weaponized a lot, again, with these leaks. And that's why I feel like people are a bit too entitled. It's not to be rude or anything, but I think there's so much people know behind the scenes that maybe we shouldn't know, that a certain subsect of people, and again, it always resides on bloody Twitter, as David Tennant would say in Broadchurch, but people being like, because I know everything about the show, I think that this, and this should happen. It's like, you've heard things through leaks. They may not be the full picture. They may not even be completely accurate. And also, like, if you're in that position, do you really guarantee you'll be able to do a better job? Because I just don't know. And I find it funny that people call for, you know, oh, Russell should be gone now, this is it, Russell's got to go, it's the end of his era, whatever. But, like, would you want that job after him, with the way that he and Chris Chibnall, and at the time Stephen Moffat, were treated for a range of different issues? Like, would you really want to be the showrunner?
It's the worst job. It's the worst job in the world.
It's the biggest poison chalice I've ever seen in my life, and I don't think anyone would ever want to take that like wholeheartedly. Anyone who takes that now has got to be aware of what they're stepping into. And I personally, I would like to see more of this new era from Russell. I'd like to see what he does, because he said he had plans for a few more seasons, like season 3 or 4. He'd been talking about it. I'd be intrigued to see what he does. And also, the biggest thing, you got to remember season 1 and 2 were filmed back to back. Any critiques people had of season 1, if they should have begun season 2, that's because he didn't have enough time to change it. I mean, the only reason they had to do those reshoots was because Shooty was going. Like, that's a very extenuating circumstance. That's something you can't avoid. Whereas, it's the old woman at the end of every episode in both seasons. Well, he planned that ahead and thought people probably would like it a bit more than some people did. Whatever. Is he going to do that in season 3 now, assuming he gets one? Probably not. Like, he listens to this stuff. He knows what people are thinking about the episodes. He's not an idiot. And I think people making him out like he is. I think he's just been dealt a really deft hand. I don't love the Billie Piper reveal myself, but I understand the circumstances around it, and I'm kind of like, you know what? You want to try and make sure Doctor Who has a future. If that's the way you think you had to be done, then if it saves the show, I'm happy with it. I'm all right with it.
Yeah, I think it is like one of the only options they could have gone for, right? Because I don't think anyone's going to sign on if there's no deal for a season or anything. Like, I think Billie Piper is probably one of the only people we could have had. So yeah, when you contextualize it like that, and if it was an open-ended regeneration, the headlines would be, Doctor Who ends after 63 years or whatever.
Yep. Everywhere.
So everywhere. Go work, go
and I think, out of the two evils of Doctor Who can't stop going back to its past, or Doctor Who is dead because they didn't regenerate into somebody, I think I know which one I choose. Like, honestly.
Oh, that's interesting. That's. I mean, I was in here today ready to be like, maybe I would have liked an open-ended thing, but from a business perspective, maybe not. Maybe not at all. Troy,
I don't envy Bad
really
Wolf.
interesting
I do not
point.
envy them. It's just a rough situation. You know?
No, it is a rough situation. Damn, okay.
So in today's episode, you learn,
Piper.
Don't base all your arguments off of twitter.com.
No, gosh, no.
And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of lovely people on there. I'm not tarring everyone with the same brush, but all I will say is I went on a muting spree after watching the reality war. I muted maybe about 30, 40 accounts. And my timeline is so much nicer now. There aren't people going, this leak said this, Russell needs to go. Or Russell is the worst thing to happen to Doctor Who, or blah, 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 blah. Just because you might not like this era differently doesn't mean that because you know all the information on the inside that Russell's done a terrible job. I just don't see that. I think he's done a really good job, like trying to put Doctor Who onto the streaming age, trying to give it a bigger budget. It's something the show deserves. Russell is right about that. If Star Wars and Marvel can get it, why can't Doctor Who? That's fair. I don't know if Doctor Who has as big of an audience, whether it's going to work long term, sure, whatever. But at the very least, for getting that distribution to everyone, I've said this already, like the Disney deal, I think, net has been a positive. Because getting that distribution out worldwide so everyone can see it easier, that's got to be worth anything else people have critiqued it for.
You know what I think genuinely would impress Disney and the numbers is if they put the entire catalogue of Doctor Who onto their platform.
I wish they had. I really wish they had.
Like, don't do it in the UK or whatever. Obviously, keep that on the BBC. It's a sole BBC property.
Absolutely.
But I genuinely think they would be astounded by how many Doctor Who fans will go back and watch the classics and watch, the revival era pre-Disney. I think they would be astounded by the amount of streams. Be like, oh, okay, we actually do have a property worth keeping here because every single Doctor Who fan has a Disney Plus subscription so they can watch their favourite episodes.
That had to be a part of the discussions
HD.
At some point, to be a fly on the wall in those meetings.
I'm shocked it hasn't. There isn't anywhere legally in Australia to watch classic Doctor Who unless you have a DVD or Blu-ray. There isn't anywhere.
Wow, you've been buying a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays then.
I've got, I'll soon, in a couple of weeks, I have a series coming up where my cousin's husband, lent me a bunch of classic Doctor Who DVDs. And
that's cool.
It's very cool. It's a fun series coming soon to Crispy Pro. Subscribe.
Yeah, go subscribe to him.
But yeah, I think Disney absolutely should acquire the back catalogue if they want to increase their numbers. And and one thing we don't know is the numbers for the worldwide release. We have no idea how that's done.
There was, I think I mentioned this. Was it on our podcast or was it on Who Knew? I remember there was a thing that went up. Let me see. Disney Plus Doctor Who stats. It was something like there we go. Disney Plus revealed that each episode of Doctor Who Series 14, or Season 1, was among the top 5 global shows on the streaming platform. While UK audiences can be comparatively measured, meaning we can learn how many millions watch the show, figures for international audiences aren't typically released. So yeah, like, I think it was each week, there we go. Every week that it aired, Doctor Who was one of the most watched programs on iPlayer and was a top 5 series on Disney Plus globally. So, like, there's an argument that apparently it didn't work as well for Disney as they'd hoped it would, but, I mean, if your top 5 show every week, think about how many are on the banner on Disney Plus on the landing page you log in. There's like 20 things there. If it's top 5 every week, that's got to be good, surely.
No, there's so much behind the scenes stuff that I would just love to know how it all works, because I saw a video from a fantastic YouTuber, Council of Geeks.
Yeah.
And she opened up Disney Plus and was complaining about the homepage being like, why are you burying Doctor Who? Because like when you open Disney Plus, it like comes up with a suggested show, the big thing, the first banner up the top. And then Doctor Who was like way down in the middle. You had to swipe at least 7 times until you'd actually see Doctor Who, and it was like as soon as the episode premiered. Yeah, but then I commented being like, oh, that's so weird, because in Australia it was the first thing. And it wasn't just my algorithm. I went into like a different account that hadn't watched Doctor Who before, and it was on the front page. But Doctor Who, like, it does well in Australia.
I was going to say maybe it's based on what's most popular at that time, and maybe in the US other things, because Council Geeks in the US, right?
Yes.
Maybe in the US there were other shows that were doing better than Doctor Who, and that's why they positioned it in that order.
Yeah, I imagine so, but it's weird. Like it was the day that it was released.
Yeah, weird.
So
very weird.
It is strange, but yeah, Doctor Who I think does well. I like one of the only times, to be honest, I remember Doctor Who hitting number 1 on like the Disney trending page or whatever was Joy to the World. That was
interesting.
And I think it's just because it's Christmas and there's everyone's
and because it was a good episode,
wanting something to watch. I think it's, if anything, the reality war has enhanced my enjoyment of Joy to the World.
Yeah, that's a nice thought. That's a nice thought. But yeah, like I would love to know what's going on behind the scenes. Don't get me wrong, I love that stuff, I really do. But I'd like to know it the right way, and I feel like finding stuff out this way, I don't love it. That's why I didn't read the full leak out, because there's more to it than that. But I'm just like, I read through it like I think a couple of nights after the episode had come out, and I was just like, oh, why am I looking at this? I've been trying to avoid all this stuff. Just gives you a sinking feeling, and I feel like, you know, if everyone's sharing the negative sides of what's going on, especially when episodes come out, it's not very nice, then all you're going to do is make people who liked it enjoy it less. It's a net negative. Like, I wish there were more things to talk about that were positive right now, because all we've got are people who, you know, some people who did enjoy the episode in a sea of people who hated it, and all that's happening net with everything being talked about, all these behind the scenes, all these leaks, all this stuff with Billie Piper, is it's just getting worse. Everyone's feeling more negative. And it sucks. I
think, we just need some kind of statement, and the fact that there isn't a statement makes things worse. Makes things so much worse.
That's the thing. They'll probably act like, I mean, Shooty said it was always the plan to do 2 seasons. You can believe that or not believe that.
Absolutely not.
I personally take that as he's happy to step off now. It may not have necessarily been the plan. I fully believe that a conversation had been floated at some point, I genuinely do, where they'd said, you do these 2 seasons, then you come back later for more, and if something happens and you can't do a 3rd season, we'll change things up. Like, you cannot tell me for a second that conversation was not floated. But I genuinely do believe that they had fully expected Shooty to do a season 3.
I just don't think that the BBC and Disney would fund 2 separate shoots for the end of reality. Like, that's a lot of money, and you've got the key cast.
Oh no, I know. I mean, obviously the reshoots, they weren't planned. They weren't things they wanted to do. Don't get me wrong. I mean that, you know, at some point they discussed it, and I think Russell maybe had another ending ready to go in the case that Shooty had to go. Like, I feel like there was at least some angle of preparation there, but it was a break glass in case of emergency. Hopefully Shooty stays on and we don't have to worry about this. And when he said he had to go, it was like, well, I guess we got to shoot this ending now. Like, that's how I see it.
Yeah.
I think, and especially, again, it's the argument of Twitter, it's always one extreme or the other. It's always, everything was planned completely and you're a fool to think otherwise, or there's no way they had this plan, this is scrambled together, sack Rusty Davies, sack Julie Gardner, when realistically, it's something in the middle. It's something much more mundane. It's that maybe they had an idea for something as a back burner, Shooty had to go, and they go, right, we've got to do these reshoots, let's make the best of a bad situation. Sometimes things are just not as dramatic or as grand or as scandalous as people want them to be, you know?
True.
The internet age, man. Anyway, we've been talking about this for 35 minutes. Should we have some callers?
Yeah. Yeah, let's listen. Let's have a cheeky listen to.
And we've had a
Christopher
lot, by the
Eccleston.
way. Like, a lot of people called in for this episode, which is incredible. So thank you all very much, and for all the support during season 2. You know, like I didn't post once after season 2 had started, being like, make sure to get your calls in. Like, I put that thing out right at the start of season 2, being like, make sure you call in every week, and you guys just did it with like zero encouragement, and it was very much appreciated. So we're really grateful to all of you for doing that.
We are. Christopher Eccleston has called.
Oh
in.
no, it's not. No, don't
I think
be,
it's going
please.
to be.
Come on.
Hello, Christopher.
Sack Russell T Davis, sack Jane Tranter, sack Phil Collinson, sack Julie Gardner, and I'll come back.
You know what's hilarious? What? Hilarious about that clip is Billie Piper is sat right.
It's sat
next
right
to him.
next to him. Yeah, that was at Comic-Con Manchester where I met Billie Piper. Ironically,
Were you there that day?
Yeah, I don't know if it was. No, it was. I think it was the day before or day after, because it was a weekend, and Billy was there both days, and Christopher was only there one day. And I went on the day
Billie
Christopher
Piper?
wasn't there.
Have you met Billie Piper?
Yes.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Did you not know that?
I'm sure you would have. Wait, what year was this?
Listen.
Was that like 2022?
Do you know what I can do? I can put the photo on the screen on my camera.
That's crazy,
right?
man.
I can do that.
That's crazy.
It
Well, what was she like? Was it like another fleeting? Like you didn't get an autograph or anything? You didn't get?
Oh no, I got an
conversation?
autograph. There's a pop somewhere.
That's all right. You don't have to show me.
No, it's in my cupboard.
I was just wondering if you had a meaningful conversation.
Oh, I got a lovely photo. There you go. Oh, that's just her face.
Oh, that's just her.
There you go. Look at that.
Hey,
Lovely little photo.
cool.
Lovely little photo.
That's
No, she was
crazy.
lovely. But I mean, this was like 2 years ago. Like, so we didn't talk about I can't wait to see you
coming
back in Doctor Who. Like this was
Go on.
Oh, hang on, there might be a date on it. This was end of 2023. Oh, it says January
wow.
2023. No, it was December. There we go. Yeah, so the 60th was airing. I think it was the day of Wild Blue Yonder. That was when that was
cool.
taken. So it was the Saturday. So Christopher must have been on the Sunday. So no, I was just saying how much we liked her as Rose, and just had a typical conversation about we really like you in Doctor Who and whatever. Yeah. I don't remember the details of it now because it was a while ago, but she was lovely. She was genuinely so sweet, constantly beaming, smiling, talking about it. Like she clearly loved having people there to talk about Doctor Who and stuff. And as she said, like in that Unleashed thing, it's people always come up and want to talk to her about it, and she clearly likes that about it, which is lovely. But yeah, that convention clip, it was the day after that. The day I went to that con, so I wasn't there on the day Christopher was there because I met him prior at like Comic-Con Wales, which is now defunct because apparently it was a very badly run con. I've heard all sorts of stuff about
gosh.
UK cons, crazy times, man, crazy stuff.
We could have an episode about
A
that.
Comic-Con scandal episode, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that clip, man. Oh, I don't blame Christopher for saying it, but man, I really wish he hadn't because the way it's been used by everyone, I'm just like, oh, come on.
Yeah. It's funny. People latch onto it in this age of content or whatever. Like people will latch onto stuff more easily because of social media.
They will. I've just seen you point out a call I did not notice. Is this Meg from DW 2012 has called in?
I think it is.
Hello? Oh, let's see what Meg has to say.
Listen.
Yeah.
Hello.
So a rose is a rose is a rose, as per Billy's Instagram. So like she's back as Rose, clearly, right? She's not the Doctor. He aims to regeneration energy, like, at the console, so the whole Heart the TARDIS Rose thing, so maybe she takes over the Doctor's body and some weird storyline Russell thinks will be good. I don't know. But, like, there's got to be a reason. Because we need a payoff, right? We need something that actually makes sense. Because if that's not the reason, then Russell needs to sort his stuff out, Like, come on, give us something.
Interesting.
And that's the thing, if it gets a good payoff, like, it can justify it in reverse. Not for everyone, not everyone will ever be happy. But
No.
I think it's a general thing. If you can give it a good payoff to justify its existence, it's fine. And that is a common theory. Probably should have talked about the theories of her coming back, like Doctor in Universe theories a bit earlier. But yeah, the common idea or variation of an idea is because regeneration energy was poured into like the heart of the TARDIS ? It ties back to Rose and Bad Wolf, her looking into the heart of the TARDIS, becoming the Bad Wolf, and there's some kind of connection there between the TARDIS that once you've poured some energy into the heart, it almost like fires back and the regeneration goes back to the person who last stayed in the TARDIS. And therefore it might be just Rose Tyler inhabiting the body or the Bad Wolf inhabiting the body or whatever it might be. There's some kind of connection there. Which, if the whole, tying together 20 years of New Who thing is an idea they're going to go for, that would be a good way to do it. That ties back to the first series. Like, it's a better connection you're going to get than most other ideas.
Yeah. I've just come up with how I think the next couple of years are gonna go.
Come on, shoot.
You're gonna shut this down so fast.
Go on. No. I'm gonna zip
We
mouth
made a
zipped
bet
like
we
John
made a
Sim
bet the
in
other
Series
day.
3. Just
We made a bet the other day, and I can't remember what we shook on, but I don't know if that ever came true. Oh no, we made a bet for money. I can't remember. I'll have to check the stream. Anyway, here you go, Troy. Yeah, he's shut up. Here we go. I think that okay. I didn't realize Billie Piper put up any Instagram post or anything, but if she is Rose, then sure, let's do like a random body swap thing, and she finds Troy's infamous, 14th Doctor, and it's like a weird like role reversal thing, and David Tennant will die at the end of that, and that'll be the end of the bi-generated Doctor. Something will happen. It'll be very sad, and we'll get a new Doctor at the end of that, and I think that'll be Russell's last episode, and Pete McTighe will take over as showrunner. Okay, that's it. End of theory.
what are you talking about, fella?
I think that's going to happen.
Right.
I think that's going to happen.
So even without the news articles about David Tennant, I feel like as soon as you bring Billie Piper back, it's fairly obvious that a David Tennant return is going to happen, or is at the very least likely. Like,
is it?
I'm sorry, if you're going to pull Billie Piper back, and it's clearly going to be some kind of nostalgia loop, whether you explain it well or not, it's very clearly appearing to nostalgia. If you've got David Tennant as a Doctor sitting in Donna's garden, ready to be deployed, like that's the time
Ready
you call
to
him up
be
and
deployed.
go, units mobilise. Like that's the time. Like,
Yeah, okay.
I think there's a very decent chance they will full send and have David and Billie back together on screen again. How I feel about that, whatever, debatable. But there is an argument to be made that the 14th Doctor could have some kind of end and maybe tie back into the Doctor's body and fix everything. Because bear in mind, the 15th Doctor did say in the giggle, I'm fine because you fixed yourself. We're doing rehab out of order. So there's been a theory for a while that maybe when the 14th Doctor dies, he just becomes, like, goes back into being the regular Doctor, like, kind of re-merged together again or something like that. Like, almost he split off to deal with the trauma and then come back together, better, healed, whatever it may be. If that were the case, I'd be okay with that. Like, I'd be absolutely fine with that. Like, that's fine with me. And also because, if you ever wanted the 14th Doctor to come back, you've got a lovely 2-year window there where you could easily have him come back if you wanted to. Like that's open, like any other Doctor. The only Doctor you couldn't have... I don't know, it would literally work for any of them, wouldn't it? You couldn't have Belinda come back in Big Finish. Big Finish is sweating because, like, her entire journey was within season 2. We saw that, but, you ever want spin-offs or anything, every character's got an opportunity for that. But I think that would work. I think it'd be quite interesting if the 14th Doctor combining with this...
Though. It's crazy that we're here, though, don't you think?
Oh, I know. Like don't get me wrong.
We're talking about David and Billie back. Like, it's fun. Like, this should be, like, the happiest I've ever been in my life. But part of me has this sinking feeling, like, we talked about it with the 60th. Like, it's too soon. But, like, I was, like, so excited for Shooty in this new era, in this new Disney Plus thing. And now, like, I don't know. If this was the 70th anniversary, sure, let's go. Let's go gangbusters. Let's do whatever. And I think there is a good story to tell here. I think there is a good story to tell if you bring Rose back and you do something interesting with the 14th Doctor and it kind of maybe is a celebration more so of New Who. Sure, we can do that, but part of me is like, we should be having another Doctor. We should be doing some, like, interesting things. Let's have, like, a 4-part story, or I don't know. Let's do something wild. So anyway, I don't know.
I think,
sorry.
I honestly think the thing I'm thinking about is, like, the whole, like, casting of the Doctor and, like, orders of Doctors and, like, the amount of nostalgia. Like, a lot of people don't love that David Tennant is 2 numbered Doctors. And I can understand that. I genuinely can. I personally don't mind it, but especially from the poster angle, every poster of every Doctor now has 2 David Tennants on it. Like,
so strange.
I don't know how I'd feel about that also having a Billie Piper on it. Nothing against her, but like, the more old actors you have playing the Doctor who've had prominent roles, you can have a role in Doctor Who and come back. Like, Colin Baker did that in the classic era. He had a role in, like, the 5th Doctor's era, and then came back as a Doctor. Karen Gillan was in Fires of Pompeii, then she came back. Peter Capaldi was in Fires of Pompeii, then he came back. But, like, those are smaller roles. If you have a character that was very big for the show and at the height of its nostalgia and its peak,
the biggest,
it was across RTD1.
Crazy.
And then you make her the Doctor on a poster. That will look, again, I think that's a bit more of a nostalgia thing. It looks more like a nostalgia than an informed casting choice. And I honestly think, like, talking about all this and coming up with some kind of plan, and kind of based off yours, Pete Tiger showrunner. Let's see how War Between the Land and the Sea goes. Then we can go from there. Because like he's done what? He did Kablam, he did Praxius and then Lucky Day, right?
Yep.
Am I right in that? So
he's
Kablam,
he's the new
I think pretty good. Ending maybe
he's
not.
He's the new showrunner. But I mean, imagine I go to you in 2015 and I say, oh yeah, Chris Chibnall, he's the new showrunner.
True. Actually, very, very good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, actually, no, I'll give you that. Fair. But I do think it would be better with how they've done it. I honestly do think the way it'll probably work is Billie will be one special or a couple of specials. And I actually do quite like the idea of her with the 14th Doctor and them coming together like as like a healing the Doctor moment. Like this bi-generated kind of trauma healing version of the Doctor has to come back into the main body and fix the fact that there's suddenly Rose Tyler, and when they do, regenerates into the actual 16th Doctor. And I think maybe if they do that, it gives them time to figure out what's going on with or without Disney and figure out what season 3 would look like, and then they can cast a proper new Doctor for season 3 and have this as a bridging special to celebrate 20 years and then go into season 3.
Here's my okay, cool. Here's my thing. If it's like Rose coming back, do one special. If she's the Doctor, do
Commit
4
harder.
seasons. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
all right,
absolutely.
Deal.
Like I said, I don't think I'd love the idea of it being a 16th Doctor just because of that question of Rose and the nostalgia. If they explain it that way and it works, whatever. Forget the poster looking like nostalgia thing. But like, I think
she could
be
a very good Doctor. But
yeah, I think she'd be a good Doctor. I think that's how I'd imagine it. We've kind of come up with a theory, and this is what I've said previously in this podcast. Doctor Who fans will find ways to make things work. They will spend years trying to tie things together and trying to make connections, just like a Star Wars fan or anything else. You know, like we will try and make those connections, and we've just done it. I've done it on this podcast right now. But if it was something like that, I think I'd be okay with it. If it was like a 20-year New Who anniversary thing, whether it was what they planned or not, frankly, I don't care. As I've said, I'm sure there are plenty of things we don't know about that weren't planned the way they were or that were changed up. It is what it is. It's whatever, you know? Sometimes good things come out of things being changed around. You know, but one thing's officially, you know, Stephen Moffat mentioned on the Unleashed special was he was like, I was meant to write the Dalek 2-parter for Series 3, but I didn't have the time to do it, so I wrote Blink instead. I mean, look what we got out of that.
The world just happened. Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes things not going according to plan, they can work out. But I think because we don't know much about it right now, and because it's another nostalgia stunt casting type thing in what felt like 2 years on from another stunt casting, whatever you might want to call it, it just makes it worse until we know more. So,
okay, cool. Let's listen to another caller.
Let's get a few more callers in. Plenty of people have called in. Let's finish off with some calls. Also, for the Patreon folks, I know we didn't do the Patreon live episode next week. That's coming next week because we figured we may end up going into a big hoo-ha over this and debating the ins and outs. So we will have your calls next week.
This is Avoid Drama?
Avoid Drama.
I like avoiding drama. Here we go.
I do like avoiding drama too. Let's see what Avoid Drama has to say.
Hey guys, it's Tom from Yorkshire here. Very, very quickly. Very nice to see Billie. Lovely. I don't think that she's the next Doctor though. I think that this has been done as a way to have a face on the Regeneration so that we don't have an open-ended regen. I think that's far too dangerous for the show. I think she might do 1 or 2 specials and then we'll get the real Doctor. Very nice to see her again. Lovely. But I don't think that she is 16 personally. So we'll see what happens. Cheers guys.
Well put. Really well put.
I also think I'd feel better about her book-ending Shooty if she wasn't the Doctor and there was actual new casting after that.
Yeah. I mean, it still feels weird, but it would slightly, ease the burn. I had a question for you now. I can't think. Do you think there is a plan in place, or do you think they're just kind of trying to put some feelers out there? And be
I think when she was probably put on the screen,
here?
There wasn't much of a plan, but I do not doubt that Russell has been thinking of one for a while, and maybe already has something. Who knows? But just because they can't film things, just because things aren't confirmed, does not stop the brain from thinking. Russell said that when you're not on Doctor Who, you never stop thinking about it. So I honestly think he's probably right now figuring out how to get it to work. And if he already has figured out how to get it to work, he's ready to roll as soon as Disney renew or don't renew the show, and they can figure out what they're doing with the future of Doctor Who. Like I don't doubt that his brain be ticking. It'd be
ticking. All right, let's listen to Becky. Hello, Becky.
Hello, Becky.
Hi, I am Becky. I'm from the northwest of England, and I just think that Billie Piper's return kind of reeks of desperation. I love Billie Piper. I think she's an amazing actress, an amazing woman, but I think this is a sales pitch to Disney Plus to get them to renew the show. And I hate everything about it. I'll still watch it because Doctor Who's been a big part of my life, but yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, that's really fair. Like, it's interesting because, like, I don't think it necessarily services the story of Ncuti's era. Like, it doesn't help. But from a business end, genius, I think. I think we've established.
Absolutely. Like, it is kind of self-pitch Disney Plus. So let's be fair here.
Yeah, it is. It unfortunately is a business decision. It does not necessarily service the story. Can they do something cool? Yes, but it's anyway, that's
and also,
interesting.
That's the thing,
I'm
a lot of people
intrigued by
saying
these calls.
A lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm not going to watch Doctor Who after this." Like, sure, some of you might not, but yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Do it. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, try.
Yeah,
try.
We're in this for life, people. We're in this for life. Come on now. If you're listening to a Doctor Who podcast, you're in this for life.
I'm first of all, thank you. There were 40,000 people that watched my review of the Reality War, which is mental. Woo! Absolutely mental. A lot of the comments were like, I'm never watching the show again. I'm calling your bluff. Do it. Like, just do it.
Yeah.
Don't watch the show anymore.
Because when she comes back,
fine.
and especially if she comes back with, say, David Tennant, you will watch. Whether you like it or not, you will watch.
Oh, you'll watch. Because you like your Blue Box show.
Yeah.
You like your Blue Box show.
Exactly.
And there's one WhoTuber, I'm not going to dignify them with the WhoTuber title, but there's one that's just been making videos about how much he hates Doctor Who and says some horrible things about Jodie and Ncuti and calls them horrible names, and has announced on Twitter and multiple platforms that they're not going to watch Doctor Who anymore at the end of Jodie, at the end of the 6-year specials. He keeps saying, and like now, he said it again, so how about you just stop? How about you just stop? And let it go. And let it go.
That point, if all you're doing is talking negatively, it's not good for you. Just get out of it.
Oh, and it's just bait. I really would love, when we're a bit bigger, Troy, I think we're going to do like just a full expose on these people. Anyway, I really think we could.
The people calling for the show to end as well. We talked about this bit on Who Knew. I'm just like, I don't care how much I like or dislike a season. You're never going to ask me, you're never going to find me saying this show has got to end or this show's got to have a break. This show had a big break once before and it barely got back from it. Like, if the show needs to come to an end, it needs to be a planned one. I don't want the show to go away because, people didn't like a finale or people think this era isn't going in the right direction.
I don't think Doctor Who can die. Like, I actually don't think it can. I think there is a version where there are no investors and they actually physically can't make the show. But even if it did come to a really nice conclusion and there was a beautiful ending, and we've got bloody David Tennant and Karen Gillan and everyone looking up at the stars, fantastic, great. 10 years down the track, Amazon Prime will be like, oh yeah, that looks good, I'll have that.
That's
and everyone will come back.
Exactly.
Like, I genuinely think that Doctor Who has now reached a point where it's in the general zeitgeist. It's been a proven success before, and sure, it ebbs and flows in how you look at success and how consumers consume Doctor Who. But I genuinely think that Doctor Who can't die. But I think, even the show Neighbours, the TV show Neighbours. You ever heard of Neighbours? One of Australia's most famous exports and is massive in the UK. They had a planned ending. They had this massive ending. I don't know how long the show was going for, 40 years or something ridiculous.
Yeah, 40 years or something.
And they had this, they had so many people come back. They had Margot Robbie in the final episode, Kylie Minogue. They had everyone came back, and then they were like, that's it. And then 2 years later, they were like, "Oh yeah, we're back again. We're rebooting with Amazon or whatever." And then now it's ended again. And I guarantee
it ended again.
It's ended again. Yeah, it's done. It's done now. And it's so weird. They had this grand finale, and then they kind of lingered on for 2 more or 3 more rebooted seasons, or however it was.
Oh man.
So I genuinely think, sure, if you want to do a planned ending, you can do a planned ending for Doctor Who, but it will come back. It will come back. How long that is, I don't know. But that's my genuine belief, that no matter how bad you think the show is, it will come back, and there will be... It's I don't understand. People look at the Disney Plus era and think it's the worst thing since, bad things. But there is so much great stuff in this Disney era. There is an absolutely insane amount of where I'm this is top tier Doctor Who. This is Doctor Who trying new things. This is we have our first black male mainline Doctor. That's huge. That's massive. we've had anyway. I could go on and on all day. I don't think Doctor Who is in a disaster right now. Anyway, whatever.
No, not at all. Not at all. And like the thing with that is like the argument of the show needs to have a rest, the show needs to die. Imagine if people had listened to when people said that during Peter Capaldi's run. You know, the Doctor's too old, or he's too grumpy, the show's getting ridiculous, Stephen Moffat's rehashing ideas, all the stuff thrown around then. Imagine the show had ended then. You wouldn't have had Jodie, wouldn't have had the 60th, wouldn't have had Shooty. And whether you like it or not, there are so many people who like each of those eras. You know, I mean, we've kind of said we like every era to varying amounts. Like, I feel I at least really like every single era. I don't know how different you feel. Like, I know you like Jodie's era, maybe not as much as me, but you still enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah. No, like, even, it was strange, like, when Jodie came back last week.
Crazy.
And I
it's
was
crazy
like,
that is a footnote of the discussions, because that's such a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, oh, wow, I am nostalgic for the Chris Chibnall era. But, like, straight to your point, when Matt Smith was cast, everyone was like, what are you doing? This floppy-haired, like, 16-year-old is on the screen. He's too young. He can't play the Doctor. And he's one of my favourite Doctors of all time.
Absolutely fantastic.
And people, like, in Series 7, everyone was like, oh, Stephen Moffat has absolutely lost it. Oh my God, the quality is so horrible. What are they doing? Cancel the show. If you did that, you want to get your 50th. You want to get your precious 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get Peter Capaldi as the Doctor, one of the greatest casting decisions of the 21st century. Anyway.
And the thing you got to remember is, it doesn't matter whether you like or dislike an era per se, because if you look, there are always people who like different eras. Different eras appeal to different people. There's a whole subset of people that are really closely attached to Jodie's era, which was such a lovely thing. They saw something different in the show they'd never seen before. There are people who adore the 60th specials, whether that's people who dropped off the show when David left or Matt left and came back. It doesn't really matter. You know, you're not less of a Doctor Who fan, or well, no, you are less comparatively, but you're not a Doctor Who fan because you stopped for a few years and came back. You still like the show, even if you haven't watched all of it. And there's way too much of a gatekeeping attitude about that. Like, realistically, any time you say the show should be called off, imagine what could be coming next. You may not like what's happening now, but what's coming next could be perfect for you. Maybe it is. And if all you're like, the only case I would say is if your only comments about it are negative, of I hate this isn't what I used to be, maybe that's just a call for you to stop watching, right? If you're not enjoying it, you're being negative, like that YouTuber who keeps saying I'm going to leave, just do it. If it's poisoning your mind and all you're saying is negative, stop.
I'm so sick of it, and the arguments are so weak. But whatever.
Yeah.
Let's
if it's just an area you're not as keen on, you love the show, stick with it, see where it's going to go. We're all going to do that anyway. Most of us are going to do that anyway. Like, you know, this Billie Piper casting, you may love it, you may hate it, but again, whether it was planned or not, that does not mean there isn't a way to make it good. And I firmly believe there's a good chance they can make it good. And I know I'm the optimist, I'm the one who likes the reality war, whatever, you know, maybe you don't trust my opinion. We had comments on Spotify being like, I saw one comment on Spotify, someone said that Troy giving us a reason that an episode of 10 out of 10 is the reason that Doctor Who will never be good again, or the show will never improve. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Everyone else hates the episode, but Bad Wolf are going to do nothing about it because one podcaster said it was a 10 out of 10. Yeah, sure, buddy. Okay, cool.
What?
I saw that in our comments and I was like, come on. I know that I'm more optimistic than most, but like, they're not going to look for the one person who gave it 10 out of 10 and go, one person thought it was great. We don't need to change anything. Ignore everybody else. No one else matters. Come on. Some people just do not give the creative team enough credit. And I think definitely filming season 1 and 2 back to back has formed this opinion, or really feel this opinion, that they don't listen to fans. No, that's just the way it was filmed and structured. You can really judge it off how they build on going from here, depending on what they do. Because now they'll have heard everyone. Now they'll know every criticism and they can prepare accordingly.
Let's listen to another call. This
is like therapy.
Yeah. we have that one Sleep No More fan.
Oh, good. So a positive person. I like that. I hope so.
I'm curious to see what RTD will do with Billy's return. I mean, I just hope that he doesn't write her as Rose again. I hope he writes her differently. I hope he writes her as the Doctor. I want to see what Billy will do with the Doctor role. I think it could be interesting. We've never seen a companion as the Doctor before. I would prefer a new actress, but I'm curious to see where this is going to go.
If they're going to do the Doctor, it has to be the Doctor. It has to be.
A companion being the Doctor? You never watched Clara Oswald?
Yeah. You ever seen Clara Who, mate?
Yeah, you've seen Clara Who? Yeah, That's the thing. If it is her as Rose, it's still Rose in the Doctor's body, at least somewhat, right? So there could be a weird mishmash things going on there.
It'll be something strange will have happened.
Rose Tyler with Time Lord abilities could be interesting, you know?
Like the Dr. Donna.
The Dr. Rose.
The Dr. Rose.
The Dr. Rose from the grave.
Oh,
So he did that.
yeah.
That's quite good. That's quite good. Russell writes that one joke like the two Ranis and works backwards.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like,
I want to joke the Doctor, the Doctor who rose from the grave. Doctor Rose.
Dr.
Billie
Rose.
Piper,
Gotcha.
are you free?
Gotcha. Let's go. Get her on the phone now. This is by Generated Crispy. I got eaten by a giant bone baby. Here we go.
That's a bit concerning. Go on.
Listen, y'all, I'm really nervous for what Russell's about to do. Like, whether it's a special or a season, like, it needs to be 100%. Like, you can't misuse Billy here. Like, this is probably the last chance that we're going to give Russell, because we just keep getting burned while this man is laying back, smelling his own farts, resting on his laurels from 20 years ago, when it doesn't work like that. You can't just keep smashing the nostalgia button. You have to give us good stuff and not just generate content.
Oh, wow. Crossed a lot of tick, 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 tick. Hey, no, it's interesting. It is interesting.
It
And
is.
it paints a bad image, the Billy Piper. It plays into, like, one of the main criticisms for the 60th was that it celebrated his own era, which it did, in all fairness, which it absolutely did.
Yeah.
So I see your point. But I think Russell does work hard. I think he does work very hard.
No, yeah.
And plays harder. Hell yeah.
We've already talked about the generate content thing. That's the whatever. But like when we say he's relied very hard on nostalgia, I realised that, you know, he came into this being like, this is a fresh start, and then immediately Sutek, the Rani, whatever else. But
yeah, that's a good point.
If you actually look over the Shooty Gatwa episodes, there are a good chunk that do not rely on nostalgia. Whether you like them or not, Space Babies is not nostalgic. The Devil's Cord is not nostalgic. Boom is Stephen Moffat and whatever. So let's talk about actual Russell T Davies penned ones. 73 Yards, that's not nostalgic. Dot and Bubble, that's not nostalgic.
Perfect.
You know what I mean? And then you go to season 2, Robot Revolution, not nostalgic. Was it? No, it wasn't nostalgic at all. Lux, not nostalgic. I mean, a bit of the God Pantheon thing, but that's not nostalgia. Like, there are a lot of episodes in his run that aren't nostalgic, and I think because he's done a few nostalgia callbacks that were quite big, and there's lots of, like, flashbacks and bits and stuff, like, there's an argument that all he's doing is relying on 20 years ago. And he just isn't. Like, I just do not see that.
Yeah.
There's definitely an argument that there's like, the finales are a bit too...
The finales are
centered.
the issue that I imagine a lot of people are
But
focusing
also,
on.
part of me thinks, if you really look back at Russell's first run, like, each finale brought back a different classic Who monster. It brought back a monster from a previous era of Doctor Who and did them differently. That isn't worlds apart from what he's done now. When you really think about it.
That is interesting. Wow,
Because I've
that's
been thinking about
crazy.
this, and, like, the Daleks were a classic villain, the most infamous classic villain. He brought them back, that was the finale for the first one. Second series, he brought the Cybermen back, combined them with the Daleks, that was the finale there. Third series, the Master. Like, and fourth series, Daleks again. Like, he didn't, at no point in Russell's era did he create a new monster for a finale anyway. So I'm not really surprised that in these finales he went Sutek, the Rani. I think the reality war, obviously, the Omega section of it, you can debate how much that was necessary. But, like, going back to classic Who to pull a villain out is not exactly out of his wheelhouse anyway. I think it's more because it was this fresh reboot. They marked a season 1 and went, this is a brilliant jumping on point. And then he did similar things again that it screams more of nostalgia, because we're in an era where nostalgia is very heavy on our content. A lot of it is nostalgia fueled. It's remember this thing from 5 years ago, from 10, from 20. But if you really break it down and look at it objectively, at least I've been thinking about it, it isn't that different. You know, the paintwork and the distributor and the episode count and all that, they're different. But is the core energy of it that different? I just don't think it is. I just don't.
Oh, it's interesting. It is very interesting. Everyone,
you know what I mean?
Please leave, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave your comments, because, like, this is such an interesting time in Doctor Who, in fandom, in everything. Everything is under a microscope, and at the same time, everything explodes. It is bigger than it ever needs to be. So I'm just
unlike
curious
our podcast, though. So make this bigger than it is right now. Everyone, subscribe, like, follow, comment.
Good call to action. Good call
Hell
to
yeah.
action. You know what? I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up. I think this has been a very intellectual conversation with you, Troy.
I'll be honest, this is one of my favourite episodes in a long time.
This is a good. We should talk all the time.
We should. This is good. Yeah, like,
man.
The thing is, I know I've obviously given some criticisms towards some Twitter people today. I'm not naming names or anything, but I've just muted a bunch of people. I didn't really look too much at usernames. But, like, the thing is, 99.9% of us, we just want to enjoy Doctor Who. Like, we're just happy enjoying the show and seeing where it goes. And even if we don't, like, some people don't like this era as much, like, we just, like, the show will continue, hopefully, anyway. And I think just keeping an open mind is the most important thing, because different eras will appeal to you in different ways anyway. And yes, Billie Piper coming back, even for me, myself, I'm like, this is a bit too much of a stunt cast. But just because it might be like that doesn't mean you won't get something good out of it. I guarantee you there are people who really did not like David Tennant coming back for 60th and it being so focused on his era, but you got even Wild Blue Yonder out of it, which is a very highly regarded episode. It was fantastic. There's always the good and the bad. You're never going to get something that's 100% perfect, you know? Season 2, I love the Reality War. Didn't really like Robot Revolution that much. Maybe that's a unique opinion, but it's still one. People will see it in different ways.
I was listening to a lot of like podcasts and things. I was shocked at how much everyone, like, even we had like when we were chatting to Josh Carr the other day, he was saying how much he enjoyed Robot Revolution. I was shocked by how many people like that episode. I'm just
like, to me, that's just an incredibly mid episode and an incredibly mid opener. Like, it's just crazy. It's whatever.
Great. Anyway, it's such an odd opinion for us as the Who's There podcast to have collectively.
We've all got different opinions, but I think we just need to remember that I think sometimes we know more than we should about what's going on behind the scenes, and whether you like Russell T Davies or the Bad Wolf team or not, if you can doubt that they're not doing their best, then I don't really know what to say to you, because I genuinely believe Russell came back because he wants to help Doctor Who get bigger. The infamous story, he went to the BBC and said, David and Catherine want to do more Doctor Who. It's my duty to let you know these big actors want to do this thing for you. And they went, by the way, do you want to help us make Doctor Who big? And because he loves the show and has kept watching it, he wanted to help make it bigger, and he's always had ideas cooking over the last 10, 15 years he wants to do anyway. I firmly believe he wants to make great Doctor Who, as he always has done. Whether it's landed or not doesn't discount the fact that he's been trying his best, as has everyone at Bad Wolf. You only have to watch Unleashed to see how much effort goes into this. And I think sometimes we discount that.
Yeah, well put. Troy, that was brilliant.
Listen, mate,
that was absolutely
it's been
brilliant.
A week of watching people destroy Doctor Who and Russell T Davies and the current era for all of its faults. But there is so much good to it. And I think sometimes,
which is absolutely crazy, because I feel like just before Interstellar Song Contest, everyone was like, "Oh my goodness, Doctor Who's back."
It's crazy. Like,
it's just been the last
finale is enough to make everyone go, "This was terrible. This whole run is terrible." You were literally just saying this season was going to be an all-timer until Interstellar /Wish World /Reality War.
Yeah,
so many were saying that.
Yeah,
it has. That's the thing. The way that the internet is, it's extremes. You can't just sit and go, "This was fine." It has to be, "This was terrible. This was amazing." Okay, and
you're absolutely
I'm
right.
so tired of it. And that's why on this podcast we'll always try and be as balanced as we can. Maybe I'll be a bit too positive, but I'd rather be too positive than too negative. Let me tell you that.
Wow. And that's the
this
Billie
genuinely
Piper
was
of
like
it all,
therapy.
folks. That's the Billie Piper of it all.
There you go. So in conclusion, Billie Piper, great actress. Intrigued to see what they do. Was it the best call? Maybe not story-wise, but business-wise, if it keeps the show going, helps fund towards a renewal, and it was the best thing they could do rather than leaving it open-ended and inviting millions of people to say the show was cancelled because they haven't showed the next Doctor. It's a necessary evil, as Bane would have said. I'm perfectly fine with it. And I think whatever they do with Billie, whether it's good or bad, I think she'll do a fab job with it. You know, they've never once casted a bad person to play the title role, and I don't think they've started now.
Well put. That's really good.
Listen, mate. It's been a week of thoughts bubbling. I wanted to do a video on Troy's thoughts about it, but I just kind of was like, I don't know if I can be bothered inviting that conversation in when I'm going to be clearly someone in a minority, especially about Reality War. I was like, I just don't know if I want to invite that.
You can do whatever you want, man.
Well, that's what I did here. That's what I did. So how much of my is the therapy bill, mate?
It's just a chalky biscuit.
I'll mail you one. I'll mail you a cookie in an envelope.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Let's see if it gets through customs.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this bumper episode of Who's There. I mean, I think we were meant to be going back to 45 minutes again.
I gotta go and have a shower and go to bed. but
I'm going to go to work shortly, so yeah, we're busy boys. We're busy boys. Thank you all for listening, as per usual. If you've enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe to the channel on YouTube, follow us on audio platforms. If you're listening on one platform, you want to support us elsewhere, just follow us on different platforms. Leave a comment, let us know what you thought about our discussions. Whether you think I'm being too nice and being too forgiving to Russell and Bad Wolf, I'll disagree with you, but your opinion's still valid. But no, genuinely, I'm really intrigued to know what everyone else thinks, because especially now the dust has settled after a week, people have a chance to make more thoughts about it and to come up with theories like we've done here. You know, when it first came out, I was very much like, this is really bad, I don't like this. And the more I've thought about it, the more I've mellowed anyway. But I do want to know where it's going. That's my biggest unanswered question. Yeah. I want them to give us a bit of an idea as to where it's coming. But that's not going to happen until we get that Season 3 renewal, if we get it. So we just got to hope that comes soon. Do you think it will come soon? That's our final question. Do you think the renewal will come in the next month or so?
I think whatever they're doing with Billie Piper, I think it'll start with a special and they'll see how that goes. And I think there is a chance that they'll film that this year. Yeah. I think there is a genuine chance that they will get that out for Christmas.
And if it's one episode, they could film that and get that out for Christmas. I
genuinely think they'll do that. But we'll see. We'll see. Like we've got a spin-off show to look forward to. So
exactly, this is what I wondered. If the spin-off was part of the Disney deal, I wonder if they won't renew it till that. But I mean, the idea was they were meant to renew it after Season 2, right? That was the whole point. Yeah. So hopefully we'll find out soon.
We'll see. But
let us know your thoughts. So until then, till next week. Next week we're going to be discussing
Ncuti Gatwa.
The end of the 15th Doctor, where I hopefully won't get upset again. But yeah, so make sure you get your calls in on that. The calls will be open right now for it. So please make sure you call in. Let us know everything you thought about Ncuti Gatwa's era, the 15th Doctor, all of it. Any calls about him crying too much will be deleted. Just let us know your thoughts. But we'll be back next week talking about everything to do with the 15th Doctor. Until then, it is goodbye from Mr. Crispy Pro.
Goodbye.
Go and sub to him, get into 40k subs. And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye. See you all next week. Allons-y, baby.
Allons-y, baby.